Impacts of Mountaintop Coal Mining by Maddie Kramer, Maddie Hazard, Jack Ryan, Ethan Bess, and Jared Stamper.
The environmental cost of mountaintop mining valley fill operations for aquatic ecosystems of the Central Appalachians. There is a big impact on aquatic ecosystems in the Central Appalachians due to valley fill operations. When MTVF is done, all the debris and leftover rock are poured into the valleys, which usually contain water streams that host wildlife. This causes the streams to either be completely buried or contaminated. Mine runoff in the Central Appalachians are usually high in pH and have a lot of sulfate, which is an acid, and then calcium and magnesium, which are bases. With these acids and bases contaminating the streams, the aquatic ecosystems within the streams tend to die off. What is mountaintop removal and MTVF? The coal mining process. Coal is important to human life as it supplies nearly half of the U.S. electricity needs annually. Coal minerals are fossil fuels that consist of organic carbon that produce energy. MTVF means mountaintop mining with valley fill operations. This generally deals with the removal of the top 50 to 200 vertical meters of mountain summits to extract coal. These processes are regulated by government-enforced acts. Some examples are the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act and the Clean Water Act. The government agencies administering these laws are the EPA, the ACOE, and the Environmental and Natural Resource Departments of state governments.
Effects of MTVF. Aquatic ecosystems are massively affected by the destroying of mining and MTVF. Most plant species and smaller aquatic species in this ecosystem are the most vulnerable, and they're also the most important for the ecosystem. 10% of all mussel and salamander diversity in the world is located in these Central Appalachian Mountains, as well as 2,000 species of vascular plants. These particular organisms are most affected because of the blocking of the streams and rivers. It's also lowering the watershed and completely destroying all streams. Local environmental impacts of mountaintop removal and MTVF. Flooding from the lack of runoff land area, watershed being lowered, and poor soil quality. The 3 of the 20 ecoregions located in eastern Kentucky are being changed due to the removal of the mountains and the effects that it has on animal and plant populations. Ultimately, the results are loss in streams, lost soil from upturning, and altered hydrology from the buried chemicals in the upturned soil. Full restoration of just the surface area could take 35 years with all the help we could give it and all the money we could give it. But it would take 150 to 200 for full soil restoration and plant restoration.
When it comes to environmental impacts, there are multiple different categories, from the minor to the more extreme. Whenever it comes to things like lost streams, loss of soil nutrients, certain structures that go into the environment, and then altered hydrology, which pretty much means that the soil can't get enough water infiltration, which pretty much means that water can't get deep enough into the soil to help the soil. Then there's also the added sulfates to the ecosystem. Sulfides bind to the iron, which goes to creating a pyrite mineral. While it's good, it's also bad. The iron is bonded with phosphorus naturally, but when the sulfides are introduced into that area, the iron will detach from the phosphorus and release the phosphorus into the environment, which goes into creating a more acidic water source, and that follows it down throughout the entire stream into bigger bodies of water, which then makes it a lot harder for everything. This photo right here was taken from the article that we were given, and that's an actual stream filled with iron contaminants that have come downstream from the mining, and that's an actual picture from a Kentucky stream.
Reclamation, remediation, and mitigation of MTVF. Progress and pitfalls. Things that are being done to mitigate the local and longitudinal impacts, which is creating streams on the mining site enhancing the already degraded streams and rearranging sticks and rocks to build back up streams. Some limitations of these mitigations is failure to address ecosystem function, which is incorrect calculations on what to bring the level back up to, and the direction of the stream, as well as the stream creation versus stream restoration, which is you can't recreate the natural little flow paths and streams and land topography. And a third key point is structure and function are not equivalent, so the NCD approach does not follow the same approach as an ecological restoration of streams. So therefore, there's never been a proven restore or promote of ecological recovery of streams.
So, some of the conclusions that can be made about mountaintop removal is that mountaintop removal is very long-lasting and severe. Mountaintop removal does not only affect the target area for many decades, but rivers, creeks, and streams around that area can be affected, and they're not very easily able to recover, and then these rivers and streams can be affected miles from the target area. And overall, today, most efforts to restore the diversity of vegetation and plant species in mined areas have not been very successful. So some of the things that can be done to improve the current deficiencies in reclamation and mitigation is to use the readily available methods for measuring functions to monitor improvement in these areas. Something that's not done very well is to use data to monitor whether or not these areas are improving the way they should, as quickly as they should, and that's just something important to take note of. And an important way to improve mitigation efforts would be to start with proper soil treatment. Due to all the chemicals and other things that get added to the soil as a result of mining, it's starting to help the soil to be able to establish vegetation at the site of the mine. That's a very important start. Also, a great way to improve mitigation efforts would be to enforce and create stricter rules on mine employees, mining companies, and actually make sure that they are abiding by these rules in their operation with regards to waste and waste management and their overall impact on the environment.